Welcome back. We're here this morning with Stephanie Groves from the Literacy Council. I have to say, first of all, we didn't plan the outfits. That just happened. But you guys have a couple of workshops coming up where people can learn to become volunteers and teach adults how to read.
Exactly. And those are starting at the beginning of February. We have one starting on February 6th and one on the 7th. And we do have an online workshop now.
Let's talk about that, because this is the first time you've ever done one online, right?
Exactly.
How is this going to work?
Well, people will come to an evening session for a couple of hours, and then I will give an orientation telling a little bit about the Literacy Council and what we do, and then I'll get everyone set up to do lessons online. The state has actually created, or the Secretary of State's office has a complete tutorial online so that people can go through lessons, and I'm giving them 3 weeks to do that, and it'll probably take about 12 hours of people's at-home time to do that. And then we'll all meet again at the end for a couple of hours.
But what's really cool is that this is a way kind of around having to drive in for all the training, right?
That's true. And then also, if you work, you can kind of do it on your own time, and so it doesn't feel like it's such a burden over and above your normal work day.
That's huge. So is this something that's set up beyond just the Literacy Council? Is this reading groups all over the state are using this program?
Yes. And anybody who trains tutors to work with adults would be able to use this program as well.
Okay, so let's talk about what you're actually learning during these training sessions, because there are a few things that you do need to know as you go into this process, right?
Right, and what people are really going to study is what makes adults different from children in terms of how they learn to read and in terms of what they bring to the table as students, and so how tutoring or teaching them can be slightly different and sometimes vastly different. And then also the workshop will teach tutors techniques to use to teach people how to read, and also to teach people English as a second language, because that's an option if somebody wants to help someone who doesn't speak English very well or would just like to improve a certain aspect of their English. Then we have people working with them, those people too.
In order to help there, do you have to be bilingual yourself?
No.
You don't?
No, you do not have to know any foreign language, because you're teaching English. So what you're modeling is English, and if you use simple language, most of our students come in with some English ability, so it's usually not starting from, you know, the very beginning.
Scratch.
Yes.
I gotcha. Okay, so the online program, is that basically the same as what people will be learning if they go to the one that's in person?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a lot of the same content, but we do have our own in-house curriculum that we teach the in-person workshop attendance, and that really I will not be able to do with the online workshop. But
Gotcha.
It's something that's optional for tutors to use once they get into the program anyway, and I can always do more one-on-one in-depth with that if necessary.
So it's something where you can really kind of weigh which one is right for you.
Exactly. Some people really need that interaction with other students and with the teacher, and that's very positive and good for everybody at times. But if your schedule just doesn't allow for that, but you still want a tutor, then I think the online will do just fine.
All right, let's go through the information then for both of those workshops if people are interested. Let's start with the one that's in person.
Okay, so really what you're learning in person is a teaching method that's called the multisensory teaching method. So how do we teach reading from the perspective of the 5 senses, not just visually looking at words? Or just hearing words, but how do we incorporate touch into that? How do we incorporate movement so that the student can actually make different pathways to that information in their brain, so they're not just getting it in one way? A lot of times our students, they didn't learn well with paper and pencil methods in school, so we need to do something different to reach them.
I gotcha. That's such a great idea. So that one starts February 6th, right? And
Yes.
then it's each Monday and Wednesday for what, a few weeks?
For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks. And then you're ready, to help.
Exactly, and you know, you really do need that workshop, even if you're a trained teacher, because again, adults are different from children, and so we really help people to realize that through the workshop.
Which I wouldn't have realized, and that's a really good point too. If somebody out there maybe needs some help in this area, it's not going to be just a rehash of how you maybe learned or didn't learn in school.
Right, because once you're an adult, you can use the rules of language to help you learn language, whereas when you're a child, the child isn't going to remember 10 complex rules, whereas an adult can.
So really it is geared towards you as an adult if you're interested in coming in and getting some help.
Yes, and there's a lot of repetition. The tutors don't move forward until the student's ready to move forward, but the point is that their brains are fully developed. They bring experiences to all of these things they're learning.
It's extremely different. What's nice too is it's one-on-one help.
Exactly, and most people who didn't succeed as readers in school will want that because, you know, it's not like school. It's totally different. It's a relationship with another person who's there exclusively to help you at the pace you need to go.
Do you do it in your own home, or do you have to come out to the Literacy Council?
We do recommend that people be tutored in a public place, and we do have a learning center at the Literacy Council, so people can tutor right there, and then they have access to staff help and materials. Also, they can tutor in libraries, or some people like to go to coffee shops. It really is up to the pair.
So you could just go to Starbucks,
yes,
grab a coffee,
right,
and then do it someplace comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, and then the online one, you said that actually does start out with people need to come in person just to kind of get set up, right? When is that?
Right, because we want them to be connected to the local program, not just to the statewide program that they'll be looking at when they're online.
Okay, so when do they need to come for that first session then?
For the online one, it will be February 7th between 6 and 8 at the Literacy Council.
Okay, and then you're giving people 3 weeks to kind of complete this course?
Yes, just the same amount of time I would give the in-person attendance.
Okay, that's such a great idea. How did you come up with this idea for the online workshop? Because it's the first one you've ever done.
Right, well, I just really noticed that people needed another option, and actually, because I have a second job at night, I wasn't able to teach that many workshops at night, so this allows me to teach more workshops at night since it takes less time.
Have you found that a lot of people maybe want to volunteer but they feel like they can't get those training sessions in?
There are a number of people in that situation.
Okay, once you become a volunteer, what's the schedule like? How many hours are you expected to do a week then?
Just 2 a week, and you can tutor more than 2 hours a week. It's really up to the volunteer. Some volunteers are employed, some are retired, some are between jobs, so it's just dependent on their schedule and what the student wants, and then I take all that into account when I do match people together.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. Say you really want to do this, but you work all day, but maybe you're free at 9 o'clock at night. Would you then find a student who also wants to do this at 9 at night?
Yes.
So you could really do it on your own schedule, however that is.
Right, and some people need a different night every week.
Gotcha.
And some tutors are very okay with that kind of scheduling. Some tutors are not. So depending on what the tutor is like, I'll put them with a student that's appropriate for them.
Okay. So the whole reason you came out here today is there's kind of a shortage of tutors, right? You really need more.
Yes, we have a lot of people in Rockford who need to get their GED, want to read better. Maybe they have a high school diploma, but they want to read better. There are so many reasons. People have goals of getting a better job or even getting a job at all, and learning to read or read better is the key to their future.
I mean, it seems like such a simple process, but you could change somebody's entire life by doing this.
And even just doing a little bit for that student helps the student so much.
Yeah. What are the requirements if you want to become a tutor? What standards do you have to meet?
You need to be 18, so you do need to be out of high school, and we would like you to have a GED or a high school diploma. And then we also want people who want to help people. So really, those are the only two things. I do appreciate good communication skills. I think that's very necessary. You need to like meeting with people to be a tutor, but you know, it doesn't take a teaching credential. It doesn't take a bachelor's degree. It takes your own enjoyment of reading and your desire to share that with someone else, your desire to share the skills that you have.
And for anyone who loves reading, I mean, there's nothing I love more than when I recommend a book and somebody else reads it. You know what I mean? You want to share it all the time. So it seems like this would come naturally to a lot of people.
Right, and I've seen students who came in with a goal of reading the newspaper come to me a year later and say, I can actually pick up the newspaper now.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, how great is it? We're building better citizens in a better community when we help people step by step like this.
Okay, so if people are interested, we'll give you the information again at the end of the show, but you have all this on your website as well, right?
Yes, and you can actually register online. I mean, you can download the registration form and email it to us, or you can fax it in, so all of that information is there.
And it's the literacycouncil.org,
yes,
right? And we've got that on your screen right there, and that phone number, people can call that too, right?
Yes, certainly.
Right. And can you give us the number real quick?
Yep, it's 815-963-7323.
Okay, we do need to take a quick break, but we actually have a volunteer here to kind of explain her experience too. So we'll take a quick break and we'll talk with her when we come back.